You guys, I just made Nathan get off his phone. And anyone who can possibly guess what he was Googling, what do we
I
think?
wasn't Googling nothing.
What was it?
What do you mean, what was it?
What were you showing me
I'm
then?
looking at some new tennis shoes.
If you watch this on here, you gotta sit closer to me because if you guys are watching, we look so cute. The lighting in this little area is adorable. It looks like I have flawless skin,
I
which
didn't
is
really
even
fix my
true.
makeup and my hair is jacked.
We just got home from a walk. We
In
went,
the rain.
I know we had this big elaborate walk plan because you guys know I tell you all the time that I think one of the keys to our marriage is the fact that we get out on our daily walks. And it's what has made my husband look so sexy as of late. If you follow us over on Instagram, my man has recently, went back to his fighting weight or before your fighting weight.
It's my old high school football weight, man.
Oh, high school football weight. You guys love his
a whopping 165.
165. I don't think I've ever weighed 165.
I used to try to weigh 165. I used to drink like weight gain before I went to bed because I was trying to get up to 165.
What is weight gain? Is that an actual thing?
Well, like it used to be, well, obviously it was some time ago when I was in high school. It's been a year or two. Like protein shakes kind of, but they were for like these high calorie, high protein shakes.
What they have in them?
I don't have any idea. I didn't read the
Oh, they were
print.
like pre-made.
No, honey, it was like a powder, like a protein, like a protein thing, but it was called weight gain. I'm sure they still have it. I just haven't needed it in a long time. They need to make a drink called weight loss.
That's so funny. Well, today's podcast is not about weight gain or weight loss. We'll probably talk a little bit about all the things, but I am bringing back do you know how many times you've been on this podcast? I don't know.
Not enough.
I don't know either, but it's a lot. I think it's like 6 or 7. So if you're new,
I need to start getting paid.
Bitch, you do get paid. Let me tell you, bitch, you get paid a lot. Oh,
you did make my breakfast.
I made the most delicious breakfast ever.
Breakfast.
You guys, most people would probably not know this about me, but I am a very traditional wife. Do you think?
No.
What do you mean? No.
You do cook.
I cook. I take care of your ass. I pack for you. I make sure all of your appointments are in the schedule. And like, I don't do this. And I know that like, this is like kind of taboo for some people, but like, I don't do this because like, obviously he's like forcing me to do it, but I just love being able to take care of you.
Good. Like I don't, what are you saying?
Enjoy being able to do that for you.
Good. I'm glad you do.
So whatever. Anyway, he's coming back to the podcast. I don't know. I think this is like your 6th or 7th time. One of my absolutely cute clients, she sent me a list of questions she wanted me to answer for this podcast today. And I was like, girl, number one, you're a full-time client of mine. So all of my full-time clients have 24/7 access to me. They can ask me any questions. Even the other day, one of my awesome clients, she sent me a message. She's like, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but would you be able to help me explain to me how you and Nathan deal with your finances? And I was like, I'm an open book. I'll talk about whatever the heck you guys want to talk about. Anything that can serve my clients in professional or personal way, I will move heaven and earth in order to support my clients. I will contact anyone I need to contact. I will be an open book as much as I need to be an open book. But I kind of, preface it with her and just kind of like this podcast, take what you want and leave with what you don't. I learned that a long time ago in my professional golf career. There was
what is it?
What?
Eat the meat, spit out the bones or something like that?
Who the hell said that?
I don't know. I've heard that before. It's like, if you're like trying to like take something in, you keep what you don't, you keep what you want, and you get rid of what you don't.
Oh, well, I've never heard that. Learn something new every day.
Isn't that what it? Eat the meat, spit out the bones. I think that's what it is.
That's really good. I like take what you want and leave with what you don't.
Same thing,
but it's just like this podcast. And I kind of preface it to her. I was like, okay, open book. Here's exactly how we go about it. But everything that we do is not exactly what you need to do. People always ask, and that was actually one of the questions today. I have a list of questions. If you're new here, I wing a lot of things, but my husband, I know my husband is an Enneagram 1, loves a lot of questions. So I do have questions that are.
No, I don't like questions.
What?
You ask too many questions.
Oh, whatever. I ask a lot of questions, but you like a question. You like a list. You like to know.
A plan.
Oh, a plan.
Like
I
a
think I
plan.
feel like that's a
The
thing.
questions really didn't help me because I don't know what they are. Therefore, I've not been able to prepare.
Oh, God.
But I'm glad you got some questions.
I got some fucking questions.
I'll do my best to wing it.
Wing it. Well, I think that's, I was having a very serious conversation the other day, and it was like a very difficult conversation. And it was just, I share 80% of my life. I don't have to share all of it, but I was please don't. I was having a very, in-depth conversation with this person. And I said to her, I do not have the capacity. I do not know how to lie. I don't know how to not share like what is my truth.
It'd be
like,
nice if you had a little more of a filter.
I
You don't have. I know you have no filter. Sometimes it's not about lying. It's sometimes about just maybe filtering some of your.
I know. I need to do a better job.
You do.
I'm 41 years old. When do you think I'm going to learn my lesson?
I don't know.
I know.
You should have already learned it because God knows you put your foot in your mouth enough.
Well, I've said that 100 times before. What is one of my biggest strengths is definitely my biggest weakness. The fact that I have no filter, the fact that I say whatever I think, the fact that I try to be honest 99.99% of the time, the fact that I like share my beliefs, it has gotten me in trouble a shit ton. But it's also, I think, one of the reasons why I'm so successful. And why I have a great life is because I do that. I don't know how. And the whole point of that little tangent was I don't know how to be fake. I don't know how to like not say it as it is. I'm not talking
about being fake. I'm just talking about having a filter.
Yeah, I do feel like
try it sometimes.
Trust me, I filter a lot of shit. There's a lot more shit I want to say.
Sometimes you don't.
Oh my God, the other day on social media, I posted something and I was like, I want to go down a motherfucking rabbit hole right now, but I didn't. It was
Thank God.
But it was, if you guys didn't see it, you can go back. It was a few weeks ago while we were in Mexico. I literally posted a photo of he and I before we went out to the beach. I'm not standing in my fucking room. And hey, no shade to you if you're standing in your room taking like fucking videos. Those girls are making bank. If everything goes south on us, I really want to learn how to do OnlyFans. So no shade to anybody.
I can't believe you just said that.
What? No shit. Fuck. Some people gotta make a living. I don't care. I do it this way. But I posted a bathing suit of you and me like 6 minutes before we went to the beach. And I literally lost, because you can only tell like when you lose followers like after it happens. But like I got a comment from someone who's like, you're gonna lose followers posting that. And I was like,
I think I gained a few. They probably unfollowed you, started following me. That's probably what it was.
It's true. Probably true. But I was followers from posting that. And I don't give a shit. They're obviously not my people. But
it's obviously bugging you because you keep bringing it up.
No, I just think it's so incredible to me how people literally of all the value that I try to bring, of all the realness I try to show, of all of the I literally do this because I'm trying to help someone. Yes, it's my job, but also I don't do this for my fucking health. I do it for everyone else's health. I do it because it truly matters. And yet people are going to unfollow me because I look a certain way in a bathing suit. It's just fucking unbelievable to me. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd stop bringing it up if I was you.
Okay, whatever. He's right. It's just a tangent. I try to be raw and vulnerable. I don't even know where I was fucking going now.
I don't either. I thought we were doing questions about like a trip.
Yeah, we're talking about your 50th birthday trip. We're talking about fuck you. You guys,
really?
Do you know what this podcast is supposed to be? It's supposed to be about what has made you and I so successful? What has made you successful over the last 50 years?
I have no idea what this podcast is supposed to be about. You've told me nothing.
Bullshit. You are such a liar. See,
I know nothing.
Capacity not to lie. You, on the other hand, I have been talking about this podcast for 2 fucking weeks.
I thought we were talking about our trip.
We are. We're recapping your trip, where we went for your 50th birthday. So lessons through your first 50 years of life. How did the trip go? All sorts of, oh my God. Look at this. When I get stressed.
Why are you stressed?
Because you annoy me. You guys, you annoy me. See, we have a great marriage, and yet I still want to punch him in the throat. But you know what is funny? Did you guys know this? You cannot say, I still want to kill him on Instagram, because Instagram will take that post down and call it violent.
Yeah, it is violent. Don't say that.
Oh my God. How many people want to kill their husband or their wife numerous times a day. You should if you're watching this, his hand just went up as he's drinking his breakfast drink that I made him with his breakfast. It can't be that fucking bad. You're still sitting here 20 years later.
Who said anything was bad?
Oh my God, let's start talking about
I
this.
haven't said one thing about it.
Let's talk about this fucking trip. Okay, so you're cute. You've gotten new followers because before you
It's
turned
not my fault they're dropping you and picking up me.
which they should, because honestly, I do believe a lot of people follow me just for you. That's why I tell you some of the funny things that you say that I like.
Not funny.
Oh my God, you're fucking hilarious. Like sometimes you aren't trying to be, but you are.
I'm never trying to be.
I know.
I'm not funny.
No, you really are. It's so funny. We were getting out of the truck last night and I really wanted you to say it on video. And you're like, no, get that thing out of my face. And you're sometimes really good about letting me do it. But then, like, when I try to recreate it, you get super yeah.
Ridiculous.
I know. But you have to tell me when you're going to be funny because that's
I'm
why
not
people
trying
follow
to be
me.
funny. I'm never trying to be.
Oh my God. You were trying to be so funny last night when you were talking about the crazy hot matrix. Oh my God, it was so funny. He even called me a 9 hot. And I just thought that was like one of the greatest compliments ever. And I just loved you so much for that.
Good.
Just so grateful.
Move on.
Anyway, whatever. 50th birthday trip, planning the trip. I think that we need to talk about both because obviously this podcast is personal and professional. So we knew, I told you I was going to take you on a trip for your 50th birthday because in my world, and maybe this is selfish, I love an experience more than I like stuff. Of course, I could have got him, like, he loves watches, he loves clothes, all that kind of stuff. I could have done that so simply, but I wanted something to remember. We love the beach over the cold, so we could have just gone and done a normal beach trip. But as I was thinking about it, so I actually connected with our YPO group. So you guys don't know what YPO is. I've mentioned it on this podcast. We've actually had a few YPOers on this podcast. YPO is Young Presidents Organization, and Nathan has been a part of that for so many years. And I am in the spouse groups. And I jumped in this chat, and it's just like seriously the greatest investment ever. You guys, if you are not investing in yourselves, if you're not getting in rooms or having people on your team that support you, that can give you the best advice, Nathan always tells me you want to be around people. And I've learned this a long time ago, but especially
you got to pay for it.
You got to pay to be around the right people. And I recorded a podcast years ago. You guys can go and check it out. It was like, I think it was like one of my first podcasts called Why I Pay for My Friends. Still to this day, I will pay to get around the right people. And this YPO group is a perfect example of that. Not everyone can do YPO, but you can pay to be a part of communities. You can pay to be a part of EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization. If you hit the right criteria, you can get in all sorts of groups. And think about it. People pay for sororities and fraternities in college. Yep. You start doing it early on, and people have such a weird, like, if you've never paid to be a part of something, people can be like, ugh, why would you do that? But I'm telling you, if you want to fast forward your life,
it's worth it. Like anything else.
Oh my God.
Why do you pay for anything?
Exactly. It's so worth it. Paying for yourself, paying to improve yourself, to improve your situations, to get around the right people. It is worth every fucking penny. I have done it for so many years. Obviously, it's what I do for a job. So I know it sounds contradictory, but like I put my money where my mouth is. Anyway, this YPO group or my foot, whatever. I dropped in this YPO group, and these are people who have the financial ability to pretty much do whatever they want. And I said, can everyone tell me, or can anyone tell me the best trip that they've ever been on? And I got going to the Galapagos Islands. I got going to swim with the turtles off of like the coast of Australia, the Great Barrier Reef. I got like an F1 race in like, I don't know if it was like Italy or somewhere in Europe, Monaco. Yeah. I got like a yacht in Greece. I got all sorts of really cool things, but numerous people told me that Machu Picchu in Peru was one of their favorite trips, and they used a company called Mountain Lodges of Peru. And Mountain Lodges, funny enough, is actually owned by a YPO member. So I got a connection to YPO Peru. I connected with the guy who owns this. He connected me with one of his salespeople. And, you know, obviously I didn't want to pull the trigger. Nathan and I have a number in which neither one of us spend personally, not for business wise, but personally. We have a number together. And I would highly encourage everyone to have this type of number. I did a podcast a few weeks back on why I think every partner in a marriage, male or female, no matter one party works and one party doesn't, where I really strongly believe that every person should have their own amount of money that they get to spend to just live, do whatever they want. If they want to go get a coffee or buy a pair of shoes or do whatever. But we have a number between the two of us that if we are going to spend over this number, we have to ask one another. And I didn't want to go and spend this number, this pretty big number, without asking him, and then him going, what the fuck, there's no way I want to do this. So I ordered him a backpack and I ordered him a pair of hiking boots, which I could have easily returned for a few $100s. And I made him open up this box about maybe a month and a half before we left, 2 months before we left. And I said, open up these boxes. And you looked at me, you're like, whatever. And I said, I want you to watch this video. And I showed him a video of the Salcante Trail, or Salcante. I don't even know how you, like, we've heard it.
Yeah, we were saying it wrong.
We were saying it wrong the whole
I
time.
still don't know exactly.
Yeah, Salcante, Salcantai. Yeah, Salcantai. Salcantai, the Salcantai Trail. And I watched him, I showed him this video and I said, this is what I want to take you on for your 50th birthday. And you looked at me and what'd you say?
What is that?
What'd you say?
What do you mean what I said? I said, absolutely. Let's try it. Let's do something different.
You said it seems scary, but we should do it. Or nervous. You did.
If anybody was scared as you. You're scared.
I didn't kill the girl, bitch. I was good.
Oh, God. No, it's just something different. I mean, I don't think that I said it was scary. I just said, it was definitely something different. Definitely not something that we would typically do, but I'm usually on board for trying new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, I went ahead and booked it. And for 2 weeks, the trip itself was a 7-day hike. You had to get there a couple days in advance to acclimatize. So it's, I think the highest we went was 15,000 feet, but a little over 15,000 feet. But you started at about 13,000 feet. So all of that to be said, before we started, 2 weeks away, that's a big deal for myself to be away 2 weeks from my clients. It's a big deal from Nathan to be away from his office for 2 weeks, but also physically. So we decided to do the 75 Hard program again, which we had done when I turned 40. We decided to do it for 50 days. So we went to the Super Bowl for went to Vegas for
went to the Super Bowl
for Super Bowl. So we got home from Vegas on February 12th and we ended up starting the 75 Hard program on February 13th. So happy Valentine's. Yeah. It was 13th. So happy Valentine's Day to us. And we started that program, and I'll be honest, I thought it was way harder the second time for the first couple of weeks, but
that was easier.
He thought it was way easier.
Way easier this time.
Why is that, do you think?
Just because I'd already done it once, I knew what to expect, I think. The only thing I hate is the damn app where you have to check stuff off. I don't mind doing the work. It's the whole app thing. Yeah,
where you have to take the picture and check off the boxes every night and stuff like that. So anyway, we ended up doing that program, and mentally we were just getting ready. And so from the business side of things, I'm getting ready to take this amount of time because I know a lot of you listening are, high performers, overwhelmed. A lot of you own your own businesses, or, can think to yourself, how in the world do you take 2 weeks away to kind of really check out, and how do you actually do that? And I will tell you, the planning starts way in advance. So I think we were both planning physically in advance, obviously by doing the 75 Hard program was huge. I set up the business where I had already done 2 weeks away when I turned 40. So that was a little over 2 years ago. And at that time, I had processes with my team. I told all of my clients way ahead of time. I figured out how to move calls, how to prorate calls, how to open up my schedule. So I really was, I think anything you can do in business if you really set yourself up in advance. And so from my business standpoint, my clients were super respectful. I had to change certain things around, but really I was able to make it work. And all my full-time clients still got 24/7 access to me. I was really good about staying off social media for 2 weeks, which was kind of nice. I did post here and there, but really took care of my clients that were still, on my Voxer and still full time. How did you set up to leave?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've got a big team, luckily, and a lot of people who I've worked with and have been part of our company for 15, 20 years. So, he just pushes you to allow people to do their jobs. Something I probably struggle with is getting more involved than I really need to. So, I mean, I just allowed people to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, we obviously had 2 weeks of problems or 2 weeks of things that I'm responsible for in the company that kind of piled up. And so last week was a bit of a struggle to kind of get my legs under. I actually don't have my legs under me yet, but at least to, kind of get back at it, I guess.
Well, how do you actually handle that? Because I think that is like, I always like to make sure we talk about real tangibles. And I know so many people are saying,
I mean, all you can do is just be intentional about meeting with your people and going over, hey, these are the things that need to be done. These are my expectations. Who's handling what? If there's specific things that I'm responsible for within the company, making sure, if there's things that I review or approve, then going over those with, say, our CFO and making sure that, hey, this is what you can do. This is what you can handle it. If these things happen, this is who's going to handle it. So, like, there are certain things that I would typically do that our VP of construction handled. And we said, hey, we want to follow our normal processes. However, instead of me approving or me signing off on it, if it was crucial and it was going to hold things up, or if it couldn't wait 2 weeks, then our VP of construction would handle those things. Or if there were certain financial matters that needed to be handled, then there was a parameter that was given to, like, our CFO, and just said, hey, if it's within these parameters and this is what we do, handle it. Now, obviously, I still had Wi-Fi and phone access in the evenings, and so there were still, emails or certain items that I had to sign off on personally or whatever, and I was able to handle those things even when we were gone. But overall, I think it's just the intentionality of, the people that are in line or over those things, giving them that authority to handle them and giving them some parameters in which to operate in. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. What would you tell the person? Because not everyone, I understand that everyone who listens to this podcast, not every single person has A, their own business, or B, has, like, the people on their teams in order to, delegate the way you did.
Mhm.
I want to know mentally, because for me, I think that that's the biggest part. And knowing so many people who listen to this podcast and clients that I have, how do you allow yourself to fully be present where you are and not get the anxiety about leaving before you leave, spending your first 2 to 3 days having anxiety, and then the 2 days before you get back having anxiety? So how do you do that? And I felt like you did a pretty good job this time. I feel like you did a better job than I did even. I wasn't perfect this time.
I mean,
I'm not.
I think part of it is that I'm 50 years old and I've been doing this for, 26 or 7 years. I've been, in the position that I'm in from a business standpoint. So I think part of it is just, experience. There's been many, many, many times in my life over my career where it is exactly that. And it's still like that to some extent, where it takes me 2 or 3 days to just kind of calm down. And then whenever it's time to go home, sometimes you start getting revved up a couple of days before you leave. So I don't necessarily have a good answer. It's something that I struggle with, but it's really just, I guess, a mindset thing, a mental thing, just saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. There's no cure all be all. Hey, do this, this, and this, and it's going to work. It's all about, um, how are you going to approach it mentally? Like, it's your decision and you got to control it, and only you can make those things happen. I mean, at the end of the day, you tell me that all the time. Like, it's going to be there when you get back. It's going to be there. It's not going anywhere. The world's not going to fall apart in 2 weeks. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, mentally preparing yourself. Prayer, I guess, saying a prayer and calming yourself down. And, I know on the plane, I listened to some, I've gotten to where I listen to a 20-minute, like a meditation thing that my coach put together for me. So I think for the last, gosh, almost a year, every time we get on that plane, I put my headphones on and take that first 20 minutes to try and just take deep breaths and relax and listen to some meditation and try to put myself and my mind in a spot to where I can calm down and relax and just try and be present. I think we did a good job with that, or I feel like I did a good job with that on this particular trip. Um, I mean, you're outside, you're walking, you didn't really have cell service where we were. And, so many days I just put my phone in my backpack and zipped it up and said, hey, I'm not going to look at it. I mean, I think a lot of it is, how often do you allow yourself to be prompted? If you can set parameters and say, hey, I'm going to, even when I'm on vacation, in the morning, I'm going to check emails and figure out what's going on. And in the evening, I'm going to do it. And throughout the course of the day, I'm going to leave it alone. I feel like if there was I had things in place, if there was some type of a real emergency, um, we would have figured it out. I mean, someone could have gotten in touch with me. It may have taken a few hours instead of a few minutes, like they normally would have had access to me. If we weren't out of the country on a mountain with no cell service. But I mean, you got to decide yourself. I can't say, hey, just do this and it's going to be fine. I don't think that there's an easy button to that. I think the biggest thing is you got to get it right in your own brain.
Well, I'm really glad that you said that. It took a minute for you to kind of say it, but it's 100% like the actual truth, guys. It is the fact that you reprogram your mind. It's the fact that you have intentionality behind it. It's the fact that there is like prayer, meditation. What did we say to ourselves the whole entire trip? What I always tell my clients: be
present.
no, be where your feet are.
Oh yeah, that too. Be present. That's the same thing.
No, but be where your feet are is what we said to each other the whole entire trip. Be where your feet are.
Sorry, I screwed that up.
Yeah, it was supposed to be so good.
Oh God.
No, but be where your feet are. And you know what? The truth of the matter is what Nathan just said.
Or be present.
Or be present. Be present,
Same
be where your feet are. Same thing, whatever. For me, it's just like I can see my feet on the ground and like I kind of like that visual. But all of that to be said, it is exactly that. It's just the reprogramming. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And if we can both hold each other accountable, and I know a lot of people don't have the support of their partner. That is a question that that's probably the question we get the most often all the time is how did you get your partner on board? And the honest to God answer, and I've said it on numerous podcasts, we've said it together, is that like I couldn't force Nathan to do anything. I just had to change. And thank God he got on board. And now it's, a back and forth, kind of like a ping pong. He's growing, I'm growing, he's growing, I'm growing. But it is the support of both of our coaches. Like he just said, his coach has been astronomically important to him. My numerous coaches along the way, not only business coaches, but mindset coaches, performance coaches. It has been an absolute blessing in my life to be supported by that. And I just feel like I'm constantly just making sure that I'm around the right people. And even my clients, I mean, my gosh, my clients have like motivated me to keep growing and, excelling, because a lot of the people that I work with are people that are high achievers, overwhelmed, stressed out, anxiety. And so my job is to really be that safe spot for them. And it's a lesson for me. I'm not fucking perfect. What did I have? I had about 2 bad days on this trip where a couple of shit show things in my business happened and it stressed me out and it took me away from being where my feet are. Just because I'm a coach and I help people doesn't mean I don't have bad days. And I always try to, like I started this podcast, I try to be vulnerable. I try to be honest as much as I possibly can. Just because this is what I do for a job does not mean I always have it figured out. I don't fucking always have it figured out, but I know no one does, but I know how to get myself back and I know how to support people who are having those moments. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. So preparing mentally wise, the actual trip itself. So we left for Peru late one night, got to Peru the next day. We only had about 3 days or 3 hours in Lima, but we ended up in Cusco, Peru. So if anyone is going to Machu Picchu, that is where you start. Cusco, Peru. It's about an 1.5-hour flight from Lima. And the cool thing about Peru before we left, and everyone was asking that question, what was the time change? It was the exact same fucking time as home. It was so easy. It was so hot. Like if you draw a line from Arkansas down to Machu Picchu, you're pretty much going straight down. It's like literally straight down. But we started in Cusco, Peru. We had about 2.5 days in Cusco. And, it's a really, really crazy city. The elevation is so high. I mean, the first day we got there, and obviously we flew overnight and very, very blessed. You know, Nathan and I made a rule a few years ago, and, you know, I say this as hopefully motivation. I hopefully say this as, you know, inspiration, motivation. But Nathan and I only fly business class. That is a rule that we've decided we wanted to make a few years ago. And you actually implemented that. You want to talk about
Correct.
that?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it even goes back to what I say oftentimes about putting yourself in a place where you want to be. So, you know, we've been just because of that, we've been able to meet some really neat people. I made some business contacts from doing that. You know, whether anyway, just some really good things. I mean, we've met some cool people. I've got some good contacts out of it. I've got some leads on some things because of it. Um, you know, it's more comfortable. I'm able to spread out a little bit. You got room to work if you want to get your computer out or read or whatever it is. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's just something we did a few years ago and said, hey, this is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And you know, it's just like anything, guys. You can pick whatever. It might not be business class to you. Fuck, it might be private, flying private every single time for you. But I do believe
Might be flying, period.
might be
I
flying,
mean,
yeah.
your decision might be, hey, we normally drive everywhere, but my goal is going to be if it's over so far away from now on, hey, time's valuable. I mean, you can do a lot of things in this world, but you can't create any more time. So, you
Amen.
know, maybe it's not obviously not the same thing, right? I mean, it can be a similar goal, but it could be, hey, if it's going to be a more than a 5 hour drive from now on, I'm going to fly. But I mean, I think a lot of it was really just, you know, a goal. We like goals.
Yeah. And for us, it was a goal and we've kept it. And that's the crazy thing too. I think if it's like once you set a goal, it's really hard to go backwards, to be honest with you, because you know how much you like it. You want to keep striving and you want to know like what that next goal is. So anyway, we flew down business class. We loved it. We were able to sleep. I know I slept about 4 or 5 hours in the lay flats. Got down there at about 9:30 in the morning, and we had about 2.5 days in Cusco, and it was really good. The first day, like I said, the altitude kind of got to me, which was interesting because I was so nervous about him the whole time because he'd never done altitude stuff before. And so the first night, the whole entire time, and people asked me this question before we left: did we take altitude medicine? The answer is no. Neither one of us are medicine people. He always laughs at me. I go, hey, can you get me
Oh
a
my
painkiller?
gosh.
He's like, Christina, it's
Don't
a
say that.
don't say
It's
that.
baby Tylenol or baby aspirin. It's not even extra strength Tylenol. And you're like, oh, I need a pain.
Can I have a painkiller and a sleeping pill? He's like, oh my God, Christina, it's called melatonin and Tylenol. You're
Yeah,
fucking fine.
correct.
Anyway,
Don't use those words.
don't use those words. Dumbass me. But anyway, we get down there. First day of the altitude, and I just think just flying overnight, you know, like anyone who like you always think anyone who takes the red eye always thinks it's a great decision. But then once you do it, like it's the worst fucking decision, even if you do have a first class seat. But all that to be said, the first day we got there, we took a nap, we explored the city, we went to the spa, we went to bed early, we just had room service in the room, like 3 bites of a pizza and a couple of French fries, just getting off of
good healthy.
yeah, really
Good
healthy
meal
to start our trip. And then we had 2 full days, and 2 full days in Cusco was awesome. We walked the whole entire city. We probably walked 10 miles a day. And I am telling you, go look at Cusco or go look at my social media. If you can see this on YouTube, the streets are literally straight up and down, straight up and down. We were saying, we're like, we probably know 50 people, like Americans, you know, that are some people don't really take the best care of themselves. And I was like, there are certain people who literally could not go anywhere. Like you literally could not leave your fucking house because the walking is so steep and there's no elevators. Like you have to walk like this, but it's crazy. But the food was wonderful. You know, I think that
Alpaca burger was awesome.
oh my God, he had an alpaca burger. You guys, I'm telling you, it is crazy. Go look at my Instagram. There's an alpaca, a woman with an alpaca. Oh my God, I felt like such a tool the first night. A guy, like a local guy, stopped me and he's like, hey, you have to tip her for taking a photo. I was like, oh, fuck. There's like a woman carrying an alpaca like a baby. And I was like, oh my God, taking like photos, like tourist right here. And he's like, hey, you have to tip her something. I was like, oh, fuck. So I hand her a coin or whatever. But it's definitely, it's South America. If you've never traveled to South America, if you've never traveled to Mexico, I mean, I will tell you, it is beautiful. It is great. The people are lovely. We felt safe the whole time.
Yeah,
Like we felt
that's
safe
pretty
the
safe.
whole time. But I will say, I am just so fucking grateful to have been born and to be an American. Like, I am so grateful to be born in North America. I am so grateful to be an American. It just gives you such a sense of, oh, thank you, Lord, for our safety and our cleanliness and our just systems. I mean, it's just,
Yep.
it makes you, it really puts in perspective how lucky we really are. I know America is not perfect, nothing is, but it is just one of those moments that you just sit and you're just like, thank you God for our blessings. Thank you for the things that we think are our problems are really not problems. And it's just such a refresher. So 2 days in Cusco, explored everything, did all the things we needed to do, tried some good food, did a ton of walking, and then we started out on our 7-day hike. So it's like this cool moment when you like get out of the truck. So they drive you like 2 hours outside of Cusco, and then they're like, get out, and like you literally get out in like the mountains and like it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But they're like, here, get out, and you get out of the truck and you're like, okay, I'm out of this truck and now I've got my backpack for like, and we did like the most bougiest way you could possibly do the Salcantay Trail. We stayed in lodges, not tents. By the way, I didn't even know that was a fucking option when I first booked it. And when someone told me that, I was like, yes, 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 yes. I've done the tents. This is my husband's 50th. We want to do the lodges. And it was so cool. So what did you think about the first day headed to the lodge? Remember when they dropped us out of the truck and we're like, okay, let's fucking go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I thought. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was good to get out of the truck and like get your mind right to say, hey, I'm going to be hiking an average of 10 miles a day for the next, whatever it was, 6 or 7 days. We had a great guide. Very blessed to have a guide with 30 years experience who could explain everything to us and tell us about the culture. And, obviously one of the things I enjoyed the most was just all the construction and the way they built their terraces and their retainer walls and all those things, and just thinking about how hundreds of years ago they, the tools that they used, which was basically a hammer and a chisel, and move things around on their back. But yeah, learning about the culture and the religion, and the way in which they worshipped, I guess, different gods and all those things was interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool. So the first day we get to this first lodge and it's absolutely beautiful. They have a hot tub that overlooks like these mountains and you're just like, "Oh my God, this looks like a picture. It's gorgeous." And the lodge itself was awesome.
The lodge was beautiful.
Beautiful. The food was awesome. You had drinks and unlimited food and it was just such a blessing. And it was so nice to like, you guys, and this may be like so surprising to most people, until my assistant sent me 2 books for this trip, I had never, ever, and I know this is so mind blowing, I had never, ever read a fiction. It's called fiction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fiction book. I had never read a book that wasn't A, something I was going to learn from, or B, like a biography. Like I had never read a story book. So she sent me 2 and I read them both on the trip and they were so good. I'm like, thinking of my
Obviously very popular because we
yeah,
saw so many people read the same book.
yeah, it was so good. If you guys want if you want, text me the word book to 501-222-3362 and I'll text you the 2 books. I'll send you a photo of the 2 books that I read on the trip. They were both really, really good. Didn't learn a thing business wise from them, but this first time in 41 years that I
enjoyed them though. You were pretty like into it.
yes, it was so good. It was so cool. But anyway, I had a glass of wine and a book at night. It was so nice to just decompress and
That's
just
what we were talking about this morning. I mean, I was like 2 weeks, like we didn't turn on a television, we didn't have cell service 80% of the time, probably. So really, just 2 weeks of, or almost 2 weeks, I guess, of just unplugging, disconnecting.
Yeah. So we did the first day we just hiked to the lodge. Second day we hiked to a Lake Umanatai. Isn't that what it Umanatai? Lake Umanatai. And that it was so funny. So when the trip was over, like the last day, I had asked our guide, I was like, tell me the scariest shit that's happened. Tell me the worst thing that's happened in 30 years. Like I wanted to know all the things. He wouldn't tell us in the beginning, but that hike, the first day, they say that they do it to see if you can actually like physically get through the next
Yeah, because you just hike
it's
up and down,
straight
back down to
up.
the same lodge. So
Yeah.
you're not getting that far away really from
Yeah.
home base.
So like they could like send a helicopter or a truck at that point
No
in time.
helicopters.
No helicopters.
They can't get helicopters.
You can't get helicopters in there. So they could send a truck at that point in time. If there was
a horse.
A horse. Sorry. A horse. They could send a horse that pulls you out on a stretcher to a car that's like 2 hours away.
Correct.
But all of that
No trucks, no helicopters.
Yeah, you can't do it.
No.
Even though at one point in our trip, we had a really good group. We had 2 older people with us, 67 and 68. What did you call it? You called it Barry and Ferry.
Natalia.
Barry and Natalia were their names. Nat. And then Barry and Nat. And then he forgot her name one time. He goes, Barry and Ferry. I was like, oh my God, do not say that. But it was hilarious. It was
you just did.
Well, it was in our inside joke. They're never going to hear this. Anyway.
They'll probably listen to.
They're never going to listen to this. I didn't even tell them what I did. Anyway, all of that to be said. But we had another girl with us from Brazil, and she was a boss. She was like a doctor by herself there. Loved her so much. Anyway, group of 5, we got so lucky. We went at the beginning of April, like the first week of April, and it's like right looking into the peak season. Like it's definitely
right at the end of the rainy season.
End of the rainy season.
Which, they do only have 2 seasons though.
Yeah, rainy season.
They have rainy season and not rainy season.
Exactly.
That's it.
Those are only 2 seasons. So we did the lake the first day, come back to the lodge, have a dinner, have another hot tub. And then the next day is the actual trek up into the Salcantay Pass. And that's where it can get, we got all the seasons that day. We got rain, we got snow, we got like cold, we got hot, we got all of the things. And that was like actual, kind of trippy. And I think that I'm starting, and I hate to even admit this because I'm a tough ass bitch, but I'm starting to get a little weaker in my older age. Like I love my life so much. I don't want to die anytime soon. And that was the first day that I was like, oh, fuck, this is dodgy. And I'm so glad I was with him, because if I'm going to die, I want to die with him. But
I don't want to die.
I don't want to die at all. I do not want to die. Like, do not want to die. I love my life. Like, you guys, from where I was to where I am now, hear me out. I literally do not want to die. I love my life so much. I do not want to die. But being up in this mountains and hearing all of these fucking glaciers like cracking, and where there was landslides, newsflash, we'll get to the landslides. Anyway, the first day, it was like hearing all of these glaciers cracking right above you, and these mountains are massive. And then he tells us about like what was it? Were they cocaine people who crashed a plane up there and they found their body?
That was what it was. It was called the Cocaine Trail.
Yeah, the cocaine trail to like smuggle cocaine out of like Colombia. If you look on a map where Peru is, like it's kind of crazy. All of the stories that they told us. So then we get to the second lodge, and that lodge, it was our guide's favorite lodge, because they said it was absolutely the hardest lodge to build. They said it was the most like when you're at that second lodge, you are literally like, they are not coming to get you for a few days. Like it's going to take a long time to get you out, because going the way that we went versus coming the way that we came, it is like you're really secluded there. And that lodge was a lot smaller. And he kind of told us the story. He said that a lot of people quit that lodge because there's nothing like literally nothing to do. And the weather sucks, and it's like a miserable kind of place to be at. But it's his favorite lodge because
of how difficult it was.
He
said he remembered before they used to always camp there, and how miserable it was to have to camp in that area in a tent
because it's cold
and really rainy, and just not a great spot. So he said he really appreciates the fact now that
it's so nice to go up
to a nice lodge with hot water, and the hot tub was broken at that one, wasn't it? Or was that one really hot?
No, it's broken.
That was broken. Yeah, hot tub was broken at that one because it was so far to get people to come do
Yeah, because
stuff.
like it's a really secluded spot. So spent the night there. Next night we wake up and we head to the third lodge. And the third lodge, the walk to the third lodge or the hike to the third lodge is like on this very narrow path. Oh, and we forgot to mention that all of our shit is being carried by horses.
Oh yeah.
All of our shit is being carried by horses. Like there's literally like packs of horses going along this mountainside. And I learned this when I did Kilimanjaro because Kilimanjaro didn't use horses, they used porters. So like people carried the shit on their back. Here it was like horses carried the shit on their back, and then there was like a couple of porter people. But I learned this in Kilimanjaro. You literally get on the mountainside, you let people pass you on the outside, because if you're ever on the outside, you're fucking going down. And like, I am not super scared of heights. Like, my dad could never have done this. My dad's super scared of heights, but I don't love it. And I'll be honest with you, if you were to ever fall off the side of this cliff, then I have not yet Googled how many people have died on this trek, but I'm assuming there's a few, because if you fall, they are not even coming to find you. It's that fucking far. Like, your shit is there and you will be decomposing down there, because they will not come and get you, because there's no way to come and get you. It's how many hundreds and hundreds of feet down, hundreds and hundreds of feet. And you're walking on a cliff that's like this big wide. So you get close to the mountain, you let the horses pass on the outside. But that day I didn't find difficult really at all. It was a beautiful walk. We got to the third lodge. That was the third lodge. Third lodge, the hot tub was really hot. We did like an Inca. So this is actually called the Inca Trail. So the Salcantay Trail has to do with the Inca Trail, and the Incas were the people of Peru. They were like the natives of Peru, and they created these trails back in the day. So there's a difference between the Salcantay Trail and the Inca Trail, but the original Inca Trail, it's only 4 days and you do tents. This is 7 days and you do lodges. But anyway, we get to that next one and all good until the morning of. And then the morning of the next day, they're like, hey, some of the plans have changed due to the fact that there's been.
The night before.
It was the night before. He gives us the briefing the night before. He's like, plans have changed a pinch. We're just going to walk down this road. It's going to be no big deal. We'll get to the next one. It's about, 8 or 9 miles, 10 miles?
It was a long day.
10 miles, no big deal. We're going to walk down this road. Oh, and hey, by the way, there's been a landslide. It's no big deal, but that's reason.
Or 4.
He said fucking 1.
Oh,
he said fucking 1. And so in your brain, you're just like, it can't be that bad, right? Like they're not going to let us do this if it's that bad. Motherfucker, damn. I needed wine so bad at the end of this day. It was like 5 landslides, and they were active landslides. We had to wear helmets and ropes, which in my personal opinion, that's like putting on a Lego fucking hat and using a piece of dental floss. Because again, if you fall down this cliff or get hit by these boulders that are the size of cars, that helmet is not going to fix you, and that rope is not going to find you. And so that day was a little fucking nerve-wracking, to be 100% honest with you. So if you are going to do this, number 1, take Xanax for whatever you want to do. Or drink a lot of wine, but actually don't. Be dead ass sober. Be dead ass sober. But very focused. But I will say the thing about me is, like, I know this about myself, and I think this about, I don't know if this is you too. And I don't know how everyone else acts in stress. I'd love to know how you act in stress. Tell me how you act in stress. But I find that in stressful situations, I can compartmentalize anything and get, like, I can be so fucking laser focused. I remember the very first time, like, when traumatic situations have happened to me, I literally can just do what is needed in that exact moment. And I know a lot of people freeze, and I'm hoping that forever stays with me. But I remember when I first soloed an airplane, I was like so laser focused. Like, you can't have a bad thought in your head. And I felt like that whole entire day, I was just praying every step. I was like, dear God, watch over my husband. Dear God, watch over my husband. Dear God, watch over my husband. Like, that's the only thing I cared about. I was just so laser focused. And I kept telling him, I was like, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Like, mentally be strong, mentally be strong. And I feel like,
you're saying it so you can say it to yourself.
No, I was really caring about you, because I knew I'm a fucking boss and I will fucking figure it out every time. but I was praying for you. But those last 2 days of the hike weren't as good as the first probably 5 days. They were a lot more stressful. But
I didn't think they were necessarily that much more stressful. I just, we were walking more on, when we say road, that's pretty loose because not like there's cars on it.
no, they were roads.
Horses.
Yeah, they were like
And then the last day, we ended up spending a lot of the day hiking along the railroad,
yeah, because
like
there
the
was
railroad.
another landslide, and this was obviously the biggest one that totally derailed the whole train that goes from one city to into Machu Picchu, which is called Agua Calientes. And then we ended up getting there, and once we got there, it was fine. But even going up to Machu Picchu, I mean, if you have any sort of like, you're not physically, on top of it, or you're afraid of heights, don't fucking go. Do not fucking go, because it is like next level. And they drive these little buses up this cliff, and you're like, if you're sitting next to the window and you don't like heights, I literally kept my phone on there, did like a slow-mo video, and I thought it was hilarious because I was like, I watched it when it was done. I was like, oh my god, thank God.
I'm glad I wasn't looking out.
Oh my god, I couldn't look out the window. I'm like, geez Louise, people do this every day. 7,000 people a day come into Machu Picchu. And one of the things that he and I said is Machu Picchu was amazing. Like, it was definitely one seven wonders of the world. Like, it's incredible what they were able to do. It's absolutely stunning. We actually did Huayna Picchu, which is the highest peak. That's a whole nother ticket and a whole nother day. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy, and you were so high. It's like you're on top, like it's like your little.
Some good photos.
Oh, beautiful photos. You guys can check my Instagram, be Christina, for those photos. But it was truly amazing and like so beautiful. I'm so grateful that we did it. But we both did say, had we not done the 7 day hike, because if you want to go to Machu Picchu without doing any type of hikes, you can. You fly into Cusco, you take a 2.5 hour bus ride, and you take a 2 hour train, and then you take a 30-minute bus, and you're in there. But we did like the whole hike in, and I think that made the experience that much
Yeah, I
better.
don't think it's gotten so commercialized now. And I know that Fernando, the guide, was talking about, just how much it's changed over the last several years. It was much more commercialized than I thought it would have been. The way that it's like stand in line, get on a bus, ride a bus, get out, get in another line, pay $2 if you want to go to the bathroom. Here's your ticket. And then when you went through, it was all kind of roped off, follow the arrows. I feel like you kind of get pushed,
And
kind
everyone's
of
there for
pushed
their fucking
through a little
selfies, guys.
bit.
That's
Oh yeah, and it's like Instagram Central out there.
that's all it is. Is like Instagrammable moments. Like, where can you get these Instagrammable moments? There's people up on this fucking mountain.
Dressed to the
Oh my god, to the fucking nines. I'm like, how in the fuck
How
are
did
you
you
dressed?
how did you get here with those shoes?
How did you do that? They must like change outfits
I
when they get there or
I
something like
guess they
that.
did. I don't know.
It's so crazy. Hey, and no fucking shade. I mean, like, if you make money by doing that, good for you. But if you're just there for the photo, like, take a look around and try to be present. Like, I mean, obviously we took a ton of photos, but also we were extremely present. I was
Yeah.
really proud of us.
Well, it was great because, like, again, I would definitely recommend having a guide that can explain it to you, even though I'm not sure what's true because we heard multiple different stories, like different guides telling different stories. I'm gonna trust our guide. He's been doing it for 30 years.
It's so funny. Like, if you overhear a guide, one guide will say something, then another guide will say something.
Completely different.
Totally different what they're saying. I think it's kind of hilarious. I was like, do you guys have to take a class on this? Like,
It's like, yeah, like a 30-minute online certificate or something. Check a box and pay your
so
money.
funny.
We'll give you a
So
badge.
yeah, so funny. What was your favorite part? And this is like, you guys, this is kind of for me, but I think it'll be good for you guys too. What was your favorite part about the trip?
Oh wow.
What was your absolute favorite part, like mentally, and your favorite part to like actually what we did?
Mentally, I really enjoyed the longer hiking days where we went through, like, what did they call them? The different climates.
Yeah.
Because as you started at the bottom, you were going through one, and he called them something I can't remember. It was like the cloud climate and then the something else. I think those long days where you went through multiple different, it's like, you start off with a t-shirt and then at some point in time you had to have a pullover and a rain jacket because it was all misty and you're in the clouds, and then you end up coming back down and you're kind of back in that climate. I think those long days where you really, I mean, you had to be present because you had to pay attention to what you're doing, right? You couldn't not be paying attention because it was a little bit dangerous. I mean, I'll agree. There's when you're doing those hikes, you got to pay attention. So even though those were the longest, like I guess physically most strenuous, I think that those were the best days just to go through those different climates and all the um, everything that we got to see, and then really just being present for 10 hours throughout the course of the day, and not being on your phone and not worrying about work. Just really, hey, I got to pay attention to what I'm doing because I, I got to be safe. I got to walk. I got to,
That's what I kept
I got to
saying.
get 10 miles in today and all those things. So even though those were probably the most challenging, I think those were my favorite days. Just being there and being present, and hearing about the trail and the Incas and the past and how they did things, and learning about their culture, and then also just
And you
being.
love flowers, all the flowers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of flat, a lot of flowers, a lot of scenery, a lot of different landscapes. A huge mountain of like white granite. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like some countertops we used in some of our projects. It is like
Yeah,
that white granite with the black flakes.
I
And I'm
know
like,
it's
oh yeah, we use
crazy.
that all the time.
Um, I think that one of the, you guys have heard me, if you've listened to this podcast for years, or if this is your first time, or follow me on social media. I mean, mindset is everything. And I kept telling him, like, on the days that were like a little bit nerve-wracking, I was like, we're not done. Like, mentally be here, mentally be here. And I'm such a proponent of how your mind can control your life, and your mind's a part of your safety, and your mind's a part of your success, and your mind is just everything. And like, when you really learn how powerful your mind is, it can really change everything. And it was, I think we used it on this trip quite a bit. There was a few moments where I was like, no, we're going to be where our feet are. No, mentally stay tough, like mentally be super focused, mentally, like when we did gratitude, like all day, every day, we were just like so grateful. We're just trying to remember how grateful we are. We're trying to remember how blessed we are, trying to remember how like this is just a moment in time. And one thing that I think is the point of this podcast is you're turning 50 years old. And I think it's, you keep saying you're halfway through life,
That's
or
right.
at
I'm
least
on the other side of halfway.
other side of halfway. And, like we both said, I screamed it a minute ago. I'm like, I love my life so much, and I'm just so grateful. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I believe that I'm just so grateful, is just because I'm telling myself I'm grateful all the time. And the mindset behind it is just so, so important. And I can tell you, I've been on both sides of it, and this side is just so much better. And I will tell you, don't wait to become happy. Don't wait to do things. Don't wait. That was a lesson that we learned from the people that we did the trip with, that we met. They were a part of our group, and they said they travel. They're retired. They're like
Constantly.
67, 68. They were on 6 weeks. They were on their
6 week
weeks
trip.
of the trip. And then they're leaving again for another 6 weeks. And they've traveled all around the world. They've done a lot of it by themselves. I'm like, these people are boss. Good for them.
Mhm.
And it's not like I definitely don't feel like they're billionaires just traveling the world. Like, I think that this is just where they spend their time, and like they're very, very intentional. And they literally said we base everything upon like what we can do now, because they know that they're not going to be able to do this forever. And to give them huge props, like physically they were both perfect.
Perfect.
Like unbelievable, such goals when it comes to that. And they said, don't wait. So many people wait. Like, how many people do you know? And maybe you're listening to this and you think to yourself, like, I physically probably could not walk those distances. I physically couldn't probably mentally do those things. And so hopefully this encourages you. Life is short and the world is so big, and there's just so many blessings by traveling, and so many blessings by just doing things that people say you can't do. I hope you listen to
I
this.
think that was a big thing that we took away was is
Yeah.
for us, getting out of the United States and seeing how other people live day in and day out. I know for me has made me be much more thankful for the country that we live in and the things that we have. I mean, we don't have problems, right? Compared to some of the things that we saw on that trip and the living conditions for a lot of the population there.
Yeah.
I think it's good to get out. If it wasn't for you, I don't know that I would ever leave, Arkansas, and definitely probably not the United States. So I'm very thankful for that. Christina's definitely pushed me over our 20-year relationship to do things like this. So I'm thankful for that. But I do know for me, it made me more thankful for what we have in the United States, and just the conditions that we're able to have and live in, compared to other countries.
And I also think too, I hope this motivate, and maybe you do this much better than us, but I hope this motivates you to say, I'm going to do something like that. I'll never forget this. My mom, for her 60th birthday, I'll never forget this. I surprised her for a trip to Italy, and it was just the most, God moment type of surprise to her. And we said we were going to take her to the beach, and we had to cancel the beach. And we said, where else would you want to go? And she's like, Italy, I want to go to Italy. And we already knew this. And so I booked Italy and surprised her and took her on a trip to Italy. And I remember what she said when that, and this is not a dig on my mom, this is just the way most people think. My mom's like, you can't just go to Italy. And I'll never forget that, because that is a mindset. You can. You can just go. You can just go and do something different. And it makes me emotional, because people say, oh, I could never go to Peru. I could never go to Italy. I could never go wherever in the country. I could never just pick up and go do that. The answer is, I am no different than any one of you listening. I just decided. We just decided. We just say, this is what we're going to do. And we get so driven and so fixated on, this is the life that we want. This is the relationships that we want. This is the lifestyle that we want. And we become obsessed with figuring out a way to yes. And there is no difference between me and you. None. And I truly want you to know that. And I hope this podcast, I know it's been a mix of all sorts of things, but I really want you to know that you can decide anything you want. You can decide to be happy. You can decide to travel. You can decide for your marriage. You can decide for your kids. You can decide to change patterns. You can decide your finances. You can decide everything. It's all a decision. And he and I have been doing this for over 20 years. And I'll tell you, it's not always easy, and it's not an easy decision, but the decisions that you can make are truly the most amazing decisions humanly possible. And I'm just so grateful that I get to share that with you guys. And so thank you for doing this trip with me, and thank you for doing life with me.
Yeah.
Is there any part I want you to, I know we were talking about your next 50 years or your next half of life. What are you most excited about?
What am I most excited about? The opportunities. Again, I think that this trip has reminded me of how blessed that we are. The next 50 years, I'm going to work hard to be more thankful, to be more present, or quote, where my feet are. I definitely learned that on this trip and know how important that is. I think that Barry and Natalia saying, hey, you need to pay attention and schedule things now while you can do them. I told you that I've never really thought about my age before. And I mean, I don't feel 50. I mean,
I'm 50 now. I'm like 25
well, you're not 50.
In my head.
You're not 50.
I'm saying I want to be 50 now, because then maybe I'd look amazing for 50.
Yeah, I don't know what 50 is supposed to feel like, but I mean, I'm in good shape, I'm in good health, and just being able to do more things like we just did, and not taking things for granted, and not taking time for granted, and realizing life is short, and there's going to be a time when those two are examples. I mean, he sold his business and retired. I think he was late 50s, I guess. So yeah, because he's been retired for 10 years. Yeah, he celebrated. That's right. He celebrated 10 years of retirement, and I celebrated my 50th birthday about almost the exact same day. So they've lived a full life.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting talking to people like that who are that active at that age and take 6 weeks and go hiking and do all those things. I'm sitting here saying, I feel great for 50. Hell, they felt great for
67 and
67 and
68.
68. I mean, they got after it every morning and kept up with everybody and were in good physical condition and good mental condition. And, I think I'm taking that away. That's shit, that's 17, 18 years from now. And they're still doing really some of the same stuff we're doing now. So,
I think my parents could maybe do it. I don't know if my dad could do it as good as my mom could do it, but I think mentally they both could do it pretty well. But it's just motivation to be like, what do you value in life? What do you want to do in life? And if you're listening to this at 50 years old, don't think that it's too late. If you're listening to this at 65, it's not too late. You have the power to decide it's your turn. And you're listening to this at a really young age, you're in your 20s. Please take it from both of us. I know you hate to listen to people who are older than you. Fuck, I hated when oh God, I hated when my parents told me what to do. And a lot of the shit my parents told me what to do, I would never listen to that advice. But a lot of the shit that they said was actually right. And listen to people that you admire, people that you want to be like, people you aspire to be to. And I'm not telling you we're perfect because we're fucking not. Like, we started this podcast, I wanted to punch him in the throat. And I'm sure he does want me, but I'll be honest with you, we live a really amazing life and we're very content and very happy and very blessed. And it's just because we decided every day and we work on our mindset and we force each other to keep being better. So I'm excited about the next 50 years there, Pard. Boom. I love you.
love you.
Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to share this one. Let us know if you have any questions whatsoever. You can always text us at 501-222-3362, and I'll show him the text. He'll text you back. He might even send you a voice note if you want it. Whoa. Don't unfollow me to follow him, because really
You can do both.
everything that he shares is just a reshare from mine, because you have actually done one or two posts by yourself. Yes, you did.
I did.
You asked me. You said, "Can you walk me through it without taking the phone out of my hand and doing it yourself?"
That's difficult.
Because I don't have the best of patience.
No,
not with you, but with my clients, I do.
You do. I don't know. Maybe I should be a client.
No, God, no. You can just give me money for free. How's that sound? Thanks, guys, for listening, and I'll see you next week.